to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The prayer this morning will be offered by the good delegate representing Prince George's County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Let's bow our heads. There are different kinds of gifts, but the same Spirit distributes them. There are different kinds of service, but in all of them and in everyone, it is the same God at work. Now to each one, the manifestation of the Spirit is given for the common good. All these are the work of one and the same Spirit, and he distributes them to each one, just as he determines. Just as the body, though one, has many parts, but all its many parts form one body. Even so, the body is not made up of one part, but of many. Now, if the foot should say, because I am not a hand, I do not belong to the body, it would not for that reason stop being part of the body. And if the ear should say, because I'm not an eye, I do not belong to the body, it would not for that reason stop being part of the body. If the whole body were an eye, where would the sense of hearing be? If the whole body were an ear, where would the sense of smell be? But in fact, God has placed the parts in the body, every one of them, just as he wanted them to be. And if they were all one part, where would the body be? As it is, there are many parts, but one body. The eye cannot say to the hand, I don't need you. And the head cannot say to the feet, I don't need you. On the contrary, those parts of the body that seem to be weaker are indispensable. And the parts that we think are less honorable, we treat with special honor. And the parts that are unpresentable, we treat with special modesty. While our presentable parts need no special treatment, but God has put the body together, giving greater honor to the parts that lacked it, so that there should be no division in the body, but that its parts should have equal concern for each other. If one part suffers, every part suffers with it. If one part is honored, every part rejoices with it. So let us play our role in this body during this critical legislative session and act as one. Amen.
Amen. Quorum call.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their presence? If so, the clerk will take the call. There being 126 members present, the House is now in session. The clerk will read the journal from the previous day.
Annapolis, Maryland, February 22nd, 2025.
Recognizing the Deputy Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Move so much be considered the reading of the journal.
So ordered. Petitions, memorials, and other papers. Introduction of House bills. The clerk will read the bills and their committee assignment.
House Bill 1533, Delegate Wells, House Rules. House Bill 1534, Delegate Holmes, House Rules. House Bill 1535, Delegate Schlega, House Rules. House Bill 1536, Delegate Schlega, House Rules.
The clerk will read the bond initiatives and the committee assignment.
Introductory House Bond Initiatives number 53, February 27, 2025, referred to appropriations.
Message from the Senate, consent calendar number 8, Senate bills introduced in the House. The clerk will read the first bill and committee assignment.
Senate Bill 23, Senator Bailey, Environment and Transportation.
Recognizing the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So much be considered the reading of Senate Bill 23, be considered the reading for all the bills on the calendar.
Hearing no objection, the bills are read the first time and referred to the appropriate committees. House resolution with one of our newest delegates from Anne Arundel County. Go
Thank
right
you,
ahead.
Madam Speaker. Permission to use the delegates' names.
Permission granted.
7 years ago, Mike Singer set up live streaming cameras in various locations for his group, the Baltimore and Chesapeake Bay Ship Watchers, allowing shipping enthusiasts to observe cargo vessels entering and exiting the port of Baltimore. Neither Mr. Singer nor the world was prepared for the horrifying tragedy that one of his cameras would capture on March 26, 2024 at 1:28 a.m. In just 20 seconds, we witnessed the collapse of the Key Bridge after it was struck by a large cargo ship. Many of us watched the footage repeatedly, counting the cars moving back and forth across the bridge and realizing how the last car barely escaped disaster. We learned of the 2 people who were rescued and the 6 lives that were lost. Mr. Singer's video has been viewed millions of times across the globe and has been instrumental in investigative efforts. In times of crisis, information is crucial, and because of his vigilance and dedication, both authorities and the public were able to gain immediate and critical insight into what transpired overnight while many of us were asleep. His work stands as a powerful reminder of the importance of citizen engagement and the profound impact one person can have on history. Today, on behalf of myself, Delegate Nick Kipke, and Delegate Brian Chisholm, we express our sincerest gratitude to District 31 constituent Mike Singer for his efforts.
Thank you. Will the reading clerk please read the resolution in full?
Be it hereby known to all that the House of Delegates of Maryland offers its sincerest congratulations to Mike Singer in recognition of your work for Baltimore and Chesapeake Bay Ship Watchers, which captured the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse on March 26, 2024, and has been viewed by millions globally. The entire membership extends best wishes on this memorable occasion and directs this resolution to be presented on this 27th day of February 2025.
Special order calendar, the clerk will read the bill.
House Bill 249, Residential Real Property, Local Limits on Summoning Law Enforcement of Emergency Services, favorable report adopted.
Madam Speaker, I have an amendment at the desk. Amendment number 843728.
Amendment number 1.
Move so much be considered the reading of the amendment.
So ordered.
So this amendment, in not so many words, would prohibit a existing law or ordinance from being enforced against someone who has a disability, or from being enforced against someone who is assisting someone with a disability. And I'd like to explain just the background. My good friend, the delegate from Montgomery County, brought up an excellent point that historically individuals with disabilities have called in for assistance, and we certainly don't want a situation where that's prohibited or infringed on in any way. And so I tailored my amendment based on the gentleman's remarks. And what's good about this is that it would prohibit individuals from enforcing that prohibition against individuals with disabilities and individuals that are assisting those individuals, but it would still keep the prohibition against bad actors. And so I think this amendment strikes the right balance. I think it's in line with the intent from the gentleman from Montgomery County, and I ask this body to move that amendment. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker,
Yes.
floor leader today.
Floor leader.
I thank my friend for sharing it with me yesterday. He's a wonderful person, but I must ask the body to resist the amendment because the gentlelady from Rockville had a much broader intent, and the amendment sort of guts the bill. And so what I want to highlight is I like, when I'm thinking, to use examples. So my good friend from Frederick County introduced us to his wife's grandmother on Monday and said that she was 90 years old. But the thing is, there is no carve-out for Grandma Carpenter or any other older adult in this amendment. And we all know that people, that older adults also need to call emergency services more often than the average person. And we also know that I have a lot of friends with young kids that when they're little, you get an experiment with different foods, and you don't know if your child is allergic to something. Well, a lot of kids, as a result of that experimentation, go into anaphylactic shock and may go into it multiple times as they're experimenting with different foods. And you know, from the minority party, we hear a lot about angst about taxes and fees, and I think that this 911 tax essentially would cause people to think twice when they're in distress. And my final point is that a Maryland General Assembly staffer, Matt Harrington, helped me prepare for the debate. And he said, and he's absolutely right, that impacted jurisdictions could simply amend their ordinance to use a more reasonable standard instead of using a threshold of calls for emergency services, such as a threshold based on the number of arrests, convictions, or police reports at a property. So I respectfully ask that the body reject the amendment.
Maker of the amendment.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and appreciate the good delegate for bringing up my grandmother-in-law. So look, you know, I wish you would have brought up her yesterday when we were having this discussion, because we could have added her in that amendment too, protecting elders. But the purpose of the existing law, the one that this bill essentially removes, because it's saying that you can't enforce any of the existing laws or ordinance on the books. It's a one word. This bill is one word. It says enforce. You can't enforce any. So you're bringing up two scenarios, disabilities and elderly. I mean, I could certainly add elderly in there, but what about the bad actors? That's what I'm concerned with. I'm concerned with the tenants or the landlords that are constantly calling for 911 services and emergency services for any reason other than an actual emergency. That's why the law was put in the first place. And so my amendment carves out the specific concerns you had yesterday. I certainly could have added something related to elderly in there had I have known about it. But for those reasons, and by the way, the law that we passed 2 years ago also prohibits local ordinance from enacting new ordinances. So now we have laws on the books, should this pass, that says you can't enact things and you can't enforce things. It's a complete blackout going after these bad actors. That's what my concern is. So for those reasons, my amendment is narrowly tailored. It covers the specific issue you had yesterday, and I ask this body to move that amendment. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, just briefly.
Go ahead.
First of all, I apologize to the gentleman. I do my best thinking late at night, and I thought about Grandma Carpenter at 10 o'clock last night. So the thing is, I'm glad I'm using you. But the thing is, the Attorney General is very, very clear that it was always the intent of the sponsor in his letter for of the gentle lady from Rockville to include enforcement and enactment. So I think the best course of action, and the maker of an amendment is a lawyer, and so as a lawyer you hear all sorts of sad stories and different things, but I think the vast majority of people call 911 for legitimate reasons, and I think if the maker of the amendment doesn't like the bill, I think the best course of action, he's the whip after all, is try to prevent it from getting 71 votes on third reader. So I again urge a rejection of the amendment.
The question before the House is the adoption of the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Clerk, call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? Clerk will take the call. There being 94 votes in the negative, the amendment fails. Are there any additional amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reading. Quorum call.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their presence? If so, the clerk will take the call. There being 134 members present, the House is still in session. Calendar of third reading House Bills number 17. Clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 133, State Department of Assessments and Taxation, notification of constant yield tax rate alteration.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 129 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 133, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 146, Estates and Trusts, resignation of trustee notice.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 133 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 146, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 425, Natural Resources State Boat Act Auctioneers.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 133 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 425, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 455, Braille Flag Memorial Act of 2025.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 134 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 455, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 603, Earned Income Tax Credit Notice Eligibility Alteration.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 134 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 603, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 614, Local Earned Income Tax Credit Calculation County Income Tax Rate.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 134 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 614, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Calendar of third reading House Bills number 18. Clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 136, Criminal Procedure, Sexual Assault Exam and Treatment Reimbursement.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 134 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 136, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 179, Organized Retail Theft Act of 2025.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 132 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 179, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 251, Human Services, Local Departments of Social Services and Audits.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 130 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 251, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 423, Public Safety, Maryland 911 Board, and Maryland Department of Emergency Management Regulatory Authority.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 133 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 423, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read the next bill.
House Bill 449, Condominiums, Property Insurance Deductibles, Unit Owner Responsibility.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? Recognizing the minority whip.
Just quickly, if the floor leader could just confirm maybe a couple things.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. So I seem to remember on the second reader discussion, have some of the concerns from the Maryland Realtors and HOA groups, have those been resolved in the amendment that was taken?
That is correct.
Okay, so the Realtors' position now, the HOA folks' position now, is they're in support of the bill?
Yes, they did. We took care of their concerns in an amendment, and everything has been taken care of. Because I asked, the same gentleman over here asked the exact same question.
Okay, good. All right, thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I'm sorry, Madam Speaker.
Yes, go ahead.
So I do want to clarify, HOA United had a totally different approach that they were proposing to deal with this issue. We did not go with that totally different approach. We did resolve the other issues, but we did not go with the HOA United's, I don't know if it was favorable amendment or opposition testimony. So that is not resolved, but again, they were trying a radical new approach. We kept with Maryland's approach with just some minor changes.
Is there any further
Madam Speaker?
Yes, go ahead.
I do have a question for the floor leader.
Floor leader?
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I guess my question would be, it says here that a lot of older buildings were unable to obtain insurance coverage for the common areas with the deductibles below 10,000. Was that?
That is correct, and that is the reason for the legislation. There are insurance companies all across the United States, including in the state of Maryland, are not taking the risk because the deductibles are so low. There also are common owning communities across the state that have voluntarily increased their deductibles. There are a few in Montgomery and et cetera that have increased their deductibles to $50,000. Some across the state have already increased their deductible to $75,000 for that very reason.
So this would expand the amount of companies that they could utilize then?
That is correct.
Excellent. Thank you, floor leader. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Sure. Is there any further debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 108 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 449, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 586, Election Law, Election Judges Compensation.
It's on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 99 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 586, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 961, Commission Public Art, Artists' Rights, and Registration of Art.
It's on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 124 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 961, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed.
Madam Speaker?
Yes.
Due to I got distracted and my button did not get punched in the affirmative on HB 179, and that's a bill that I definitely supported and I had put in years before, and so I wanted to just see if there's a ability to be able to vote yay for it. It's the retail theft, HB 179.
Yes.
That's the truth.
Oh, I have
I can't say my button didn't work. I was trying to communicate with the Senate and.
Yes, gentleman from Anne Arundel.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I need to change my vote on House Bill 449 to no. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to change my vote, House Bill 449 to no.
All the knowers, stand up, please. Yes, go ahead.
I'm a knower on 449.
Yes.
Good morning, Madam Speaker. House Bill 251 to red.
You're standing, you're looking down.
Sorry, Madam Speaker, I thought there was more people than me. 251 to red.
Any other further notes? Let me remind you of something. If you're going to change, you got to stand up immediately, immediately, if you're going to change. If it didn't register. If it didn't register. Calendar of third reading, House Bills number 19. The clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 11, Health Insurance, Access to Non-Participating Providers, Referrals, Additional Assistance and Coverage.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 133 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 11, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 73, State Finance and Procurement, State Leasing of Real Property.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 131 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 73, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
House Bill 88, Estates and Trusts, Maryland Trust Decanting Act, Notification and Document Transmittal.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 131 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 88, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
House Bill 131, Environment Bay Restoration Fund, Septic System Upgrade Program.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate?
Madam Speaker,
You have a debate?
I'd
Is
like
there
to
a
ask
question?
the floor leader a question, if I may.
Floor leader.
Sure. Back here. Back row caucus. Thank you. I know the bill was heavily amended. Could you clarify exactly what it does do now?
Yes, it adds certain priorities for funding from the septics account. It, after the first priority being for failing systems in the critical area, it adds second to failing systems that are located within watershed areas that are most effective for achieving nitrogen reductions. Third, to failing systems that are located within the 500-year floodplain. And then fourth, this is currently second, but it's now fourth, to other failing systems that the department determines are a threat to public health or water quality.
So it removes language that refers to a nitrogen-impaired body of water, and I guess my concern is what impact that has on the western Maryland counties?
Well, what it does is it changes the language to say failing systems that are located within watershed areas that are most effective for achieving nitrogen reductions. So there is a statewide map of all the areas that would be affected. They're basically areas that already have a high level of nitrogen, and so where the replacement of or installation of a new septic would have the biggest impact.
So can you clarify whether or not the western Maryland counties meet that new requirement?
Checking. Okay, still checking.
All right, I'm patient, thank you.
Sure.
Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Could we
Chair.
special order the bill to the end of the calendar?
Yes.
Madam Speaker, move to special order this bill to the end of the calendar.
Yes. Question for the House is to special order HB 131 to the appropriate time at the end of the calendar.
All right, thank you.
Clerk will read next bill.
House Bill 412, Elections, Local Boards of Elections, Open Meeting Requirements, Local Boards of Elections Transparency Act.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 132 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 412, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
House Bill 421, Public Safety 911 Trust Fund 988 Suicide Prevention Hotline.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 133 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 421, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 995, Work Group to Study the Rise in Adverse Decisions in the State Healthcare System Establishment.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 133 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 995, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Special order calendar, clerk will read the bill.
House Bill 131, Environment Bay Restoration Fund Septic System Upgrade Program.
Recognizing the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My questions have all been answered.
Okay. All righty. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Council has provided me the map which shows the areas that would qualify under this second tier of funding under the septics account, and there are portions of Western Maryland that would qualify. The furthest western part of Garrett County, because it's not part, I presume because it's not part of the watershed for Chesapeake Bay, don't qualify, but there are other parts of Garrett County and then moving east that, that would qualify. And I'd be happy to share you this map, which again looks at parts of the Bay watershed that are most nitrogen impaired.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
Madam Speaker,
Yes.
could I have 30 seconds to look at the map?
Excuse me?
Could I have 30 seconds to look at the map?
Well, you're taking up the time right now. So
Well,
go
I just want to
ahead.
get permission.
Go ahead. I don't know why we're doing it now,
Madam Speaker,
though. Yes. Yes.
I can either talk about how important this bill is, or we're good. My questions have all been answered again.
Is there any further debate? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 129 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 131, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Calendar of third reading, House Bills number 20. Clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 331, Public Information Act, Public Access Ombudsman, Delegation of Powers.
It's on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 134 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 331, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
House Bill 367, Health Occupations Boards, English Proficiency Requirements and Licensure by Endorsement for Nursing.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 107 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 367, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 428, Medical Debt, Complaints for Money Judgment, and Real Property Liens.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 134 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 428, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 473, Maryland Community College Promise Scholarship Program, revisions.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 129 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 473, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
House Bill 553, Maryland Medical Assistance Program, Maternal Health Self-Measured Blood Pressure Monitoring.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 130 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 553, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read the next bill.
House Bill 616, Criminal Law Destroying Funerary Objects and Cemetery Elements, Statute of Limitations and Prohibition.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 133 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 616, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed.
Madam Speaker, vote change. Into the calendar, vote change.
Yes.
House Bill 251 to read. Thank you.
Any other vote change?
Madam Speaker, I'd like to change my vote from red to green on 412, please. Thank you.
You know you're going to bring that slip up, right? Any other vote changes before we go to the next calendar? Okay. Calendar of third reading House Bills, number 21. Clerk, read the first bill.
House Bill 166, Maryland Public Ethics Law, State Officials of and Candidates to be State Officials of the Judicial Branch, Conflicts of Interest, and Financial Disclosure Statements.
This long title is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 133 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 166, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 281, Criminal Procedure, Omission of Out-of-Court Statements, Assault in the Second Degree.
It's on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 132 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 281, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 298, Maryland Higher Education Commission, Demographic Data Collection, Parental Status.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 96 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 298, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 322, Election Law, Municipal Elections Administration.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? The minority vote.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Would the floor leader rise for a few questions?
Hi, good morning.
Vice
Madam
Chair.
Speaker.
Good morning. So this bill would, I guess, enable the state to enter into a memorandum of understanding with, let's say, a locality to help them with their elections?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So let's say a very large municipality was opening up their voting to non-citizens. And would the state then still assist that locality with administering their elections?
So under the bill's amendment, we actually specifically state that in order for the Board of Elections to assist with an election, that the municipality has to certify that they do participate in all of Maryland state laws, including citizenship. It's particularly if they want to be on the same ballot as the state election. So the answer is, in terms of being on the ballot, in our state ballot, if the city would like to have races appear on there, they have to certify that they are ensuring that whether citizenship, age, and all of the various criteria that we have, that the city is adhering to that.
Okay, so I'm just going to use my legislative privilege here. So the city of Frederick is opening up their voting to non-citizens. And so my question would be specifically, and I think you just answered it, but I'm going to have you say it on the record. So the state of Maryland could not assist the city of Frederick with their elections if they open it up to non-citizens. Is that fair to say?
That's a great question. In that scenario, the city could lease our voting equipment from the state at cost and utilize the voting equipment for their own elections. They would hold their own elections, and they have the ability to lease the equipment if they would like to.
And they could still proceed forward with allowing non-citizens to vote with the state equipment?
If that is the policy of the city of Frederick, that non-citizens are able to vote and that their elected officials have passed that policy, then that is their prerogative to do that. When it comes to the state, they could lease the equipment, and that would be the state's participation.
Okay, I appreciate you answering those questions. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you.
It's third reader. I'm going to vote against this bill for the reasons just outlined in the debate. Thank you.
Is there any further debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 99 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 322, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 397, Maryland Agricultural and Resource-Based Industry Development Corporation, Oyster Shucking House Loan Program.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 126 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 397, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 617, Comptroller Recording and Monitoring Telephone Calls, Clarification.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 133 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 617, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Calendar of third reading, House Bills number 22. Clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 324, County Boards of Education Anti-Bias Training for Members Requirement County Board Member Anti-Bias Training Act.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 104 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 324, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 375, Bicycles, Play Vehicles, and Unicycles, Authorizations and Requirements, Jay's Law.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 132 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 375, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
Madam Speaker, I'm not sure if I hit my button in time or not. I was so excited. I was so excited with the bill that
Okay.
375, House Bill 375.
House
Make
Bill
sure it's a green vote so I can ride on the sidewalks again. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, my finger did not work either. I was so excited for my good delegate. I would like to be recorded in the green. Thank you.
All righty. They got him. Anyone else want to be excited? Okay. Are we on 6? Clerk, read the next bill.
House Bill 646, Task Force on the Creation of a Division of Returning Citizens and Expanded Reentry Services, Extension of Report, Deadline, and Task Force.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 115 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 646, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 780, Urban State Highways, Speed Limits, Exemptions.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 101 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 780, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 786, Appellate Court of Maryland, Sessions at Educational Institutions.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 134 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 786, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 787, Courts, State Reporter, Publication of Cases.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 134 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 787, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 864, St. Mary's County, Judgeships, Circuit Courts.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 134 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 864, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed.
Madam Speaker,
Yes.
I'd like to change my vote, House Bill 251, to red, please.
Calendar of third reading House Bills, number 23. Clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 376, Maryland Cybersecurity Council, membership alterations.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 133 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 376, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed.
Madam Speaker?
Clerk will read the next one. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good morning. My button didn't work on House Bill 376. I'd like to be recorded in the green, please. Thank you.
Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 619, sales and use tax, sales between cannabis businesses and cannabis nurseries exemption.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 111 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 619, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 722, Maryland Department of Health, report on oversight of substance use disorder treatment programs and recovery residences.
Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 134 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 722, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 745, State Board of Professional Counselors and Therapists, Behavior Analysts, Licensure Applications.
It's on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 134 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 745, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 755, Common Ownership Communities, Recreational Common Areas, Sensitive Information as Condition for Access.
It's on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 129 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 755, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read next bill.
House Bill 869, Preserve Telehealth Access, Act of 2025.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 133 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 869, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed.
Madam Speaker?
Yes.
I'd like to change my vote on 619 from green to red. Thank you.
Madam Speaker?
Yes.
Vote change on 324 from Nadia.
Madam Speaker?
Yes.
Vote change on 251 from green to red.
Yes.
House Bill 755 to green. Thank you.
Any other vote changes? Okay. That ends the work at the desk. Committee announcements, appropriations.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Appropriations Committee will have a joint hearing with Ways and Means on the Bertha at 1 o'clock in the joint hearing room.
Judiciary.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House Judiciary Committee will be meeting today at 1 o'clock. However, members of the Appropriations and Ways and Means Committees who are going to be in the Burfarama starting at 1 o'clock should be aware that their bills will not be heard until after 4 p.m. today.
Okay. Environment and Transportation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The House Environment and Transportation Committee will be meeting for bill hearings at 1 o'clock. I would love to extend that courtesy, but hopefully we will not still be in bill hearings after 4 o'clock. So thank you, Madam Speaker.
Ways and Means.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As was already noted, the Ways and Means Committee will be having a joint hearing with appropriations on the BRFA. We still may be in that joint hearing at 4 o'clock because there are 103 witnesses signed up to testify.
Economic Matters.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Economic Matters will have a subcommittee chairs meeting at 12:30, followed by bill hearings at 1, and voting immediately following the bill hearings. Thank you.
Health and Government Operations.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Health and Government Operations will have a voting session at 1 p.m., followed by briefings, and I don't know where we will be at 4 o'clock.
Any subcommittee announcements?
Madam Speaker.
Yes.
I apologize. The back room, the subcommittee chairs will be meeting at 11:30 for Judiciary, 11:30.
Okay, all right. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Business Regulations Subcommittee will meet today after the full committee's hearing and a voting session.
Yes, Ruth.
Local Government Subcommittee will meet immediately following bill hearings this afternoon.
The Health Occupation Subcommittee will meet at 11:10 by Zoom.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Motor Vehicle and Transportation Subcommittee will meet immediately following the Local Government Subcommittee after the E&T bill hearings today.
Yes, Chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have a minor correction. 1 p.m. voting immediately followed by hearings, not briefings. Thank you.
Any other subcommittee announcements? Okay. Any delegation announcements? Yes, delegations. Prince George's.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Prince George's County House Delegation will be meeting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. in person in our delegation room 150.
Okay.
We're following Baltimore County's lead.
Okay, go ahead.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Montgomery County House Delegation will meet virtually tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Anne Arundel County Delegation will meet at 8:30 on Zoom tomorrow morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Baltimore City House Delegation will meet tomorrow at 9 a.m. virtually by Zoom.
Yes, Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Baltimore County Delegation will meet at 9 a.m., just like Prince George's County in person.
All right. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Eastern Shore Delegation will meet tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. on Zoom.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 755 to green. Thank you.
Any other delegation announcements? Any caucus announcements? Gentleman from Montgomery.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It is my pleasure as the co-chair of the Legislative Jewish Caucus to invite you all tomorrow at noon. We're really excited that the Jewish Caucus is hosting our first event with the Legislative Black Caucus. We're having a lunch and learn tomorrow in honor of Black History Month, and come and join. Madam Speaker, permission to use the delegates' names?
Permission granted.
Thank you. Delegate Pastor and Delegate Wims, who are going to share some of their personal stories of the Jewish and Black communities' partnership in civil rights. So we're really excited to be hosting tomorrow at noon in room 140 in the House Office Building. Bring your lunch and come for a really informative and fascinating conversation. Thank you.
All right. Any other caucus? We did this? Yeah. Okay. All right. We're now at part of our program is the Black History Moment. General Lady representing Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As we near the end of Black History Month, I want to speak to each person in this room. First, to those of us who are a part of the African diaspora, however brought here, born here, survived and grown here. I cannot speak to us, however, without speaking to the total body. For each of you, no matter how you got here, are a part of our history, as we are a part of the collective history of this state and of this country. Today, Madam Speaker, as in her inauguration poem for President Clinton on the pulse of morning, Maya Angelou spoke of the rock, the river, the tree. You, Madam, are the rock of this body, as we are the river and the tree for Maryland. Dr. Angelou gave these words to the rock. Today, I call you, each one of us, to my riverside, if you will study war no more. Come clad in peace before cynicism was a bloody sear across your brow. And when you yet knew, you still knew nothing. The river sang and sings on. There is a true yearning, the singing river and the wise rock. So say the Asian, the Hispanic, the Jew, the African, the Native American, the Sioux, the Catholic, the Muslim, the French, the Greek, the Irish, the rabbi, the priest, the sheik, the gay, the straight, the preacher, the privileged, the homeless, the teacher. Speak to humankind today, says the rock. Come to me here beside the river. Today, the rock cries out to us clearly, forcefully, come. You may stand upon my back and face your distant destiny, but seek no haven in my shadow. I will give you no hiding place down here. You have crouched too long. I will give you no hiding place too long. In the bruising darkness, we have lain too long. The rock cries out to us today, you may stand upon me, but do not hide your face. The river sings a beautiful song. It says, come, rest here by my side, delicate and strangely made proud. yet thrusting perpetually under siege. I, the rock, I, the river, I, the tree, I am yours. Lift up your faces, implores the poet. You have a piercing need for this bright morning dawning for you. History, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived, but if faced with courage, need not be lived again. Lift up your eyes upon this day breaking for you, for all of us. Give birth again to the dream. Women, children, men, take it into the palms of your hands and mold it into the shape of your most private need. Sculpt it into the image of your most public self. Lift up your hearts. Each new hour holds new chances for a new beginning. Do not be wedded forever to fear, yoked eternally to brutishness. The horizon leans forward, offering you space to place new steps of change. Here on the pulse of this fine day, you may have the courage to look up and out and upon me, the rock, the river, the tree, your country, our country. So as the celebration of Black History Month winds down, may we all have the grace, and as the speaker might say, the dignity to look up and out and into our sisters' eyes and into our brother's face for our state and for our country, and say simply, very, very simply, with hope, good morning.
Mr. Speaker, personal announcements.
Yes, recognizing the delegate from Baltimore County.
Anne Arundel.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Anne Arundel, yes.
Thank you, my friend. Permission to use the delegates' names?
Granted.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of delegates Latoya Congolo, Brian Chisholm, and myself, I ask that you join me in welcoming the Pasadena Business Association members who are here joining us in the rear gallery. They're a group of locally owned entrepreneurs that meet and network to support each other's businesses, and they do an incredible amount of good for our community. They're largely the reason that our big town feels like a small town, and they're greatly appreciated. Welcome to Annapolis. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker.
Any other personal or guest announcements?
Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker.
Delegate from Montgomery County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If the body could join me, behind us in the gallery is the Montgomery County Regional Student Government Association. Basically what that means is all of these really, really smart kids from Montgomery County come in every year, about 50 of them, and they try to learn what we do and become better citizens. And the one that runs that organization is a good friend of mine, Shella Cherry. She's sitting right there. If she could stand up and if we could welcome her and thank her for all she does for all of our kids. Thank you. Thank you, Shella.
Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker.
Delegate from Baltimore County.
I appreciate the deference, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. On behalf of the entire delegation of Baltimore County, including yourself, sir, I would like to welcome also the Baltimore County Student Council students that are here today. Some of the best and brightest and smart, as we said, they are. I'm very proud of them. They're accompanied by our student member of the board, Ugoma Chike Kalu, and thank you guys for coming here today. If you're there, stand up. I can't see forward, but I see you in the back.
Recognizing the delegate from Anne Arundel County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Permission to use the delegates' names?
Granted.
Thank you. Please join Delegate Howard and Delegate Baylor and myself for District 30's District Night tonight. It is going to be in the Miller Senate Building, East Conference Room, from 6 to 8, and we're going to have so much fun. Please do come out. Thanks.
Recognizing the delegate from St. Mary's County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm honored to stand here today and recognize some of the bright minds from Calvert County, our middle school and high school kids who belong to the Calvert County Association of Student Councils. I don't know if they're still up there anymore, but please give them a warm welcome. Thank you.
Recognizing the delegate from Prince George's County.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, for the last 6 years of representing Prince George's County, I've been blessed tremendously to have a chief of staff, and only one chief of staff in that 6 years. Now, why anybody would choose to spend a half decade working for me is a different debate for a different time, but my current chief of staff is leaving. Today is her last day, and for 6 years, she has been by my side through every campaign, through my private sector life, and has really been working for the people of the 23rd District and the people of Maryland. And I get 24 hours to embarrass her, so I need you to join me on this. Colleagues, please recognize Jasmine Millak on her last day, and thank her for her good work.
Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to introduce the doctor of the day. He's an internist, emergency medicine doctor, and founder of Morgan State Masters in Medical Science. He's also the chair of No Labs Maryland. He's from District 11B with the Speaker Pro Tem and me. I ask you to welcome Tyler Simmet.
Mr. Speaker.
Delegate from Western Maryland.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of the Washington County delegates, I would like to send a warm welcome to our Washington County Association of Student Council. They are here on their Advocacy Day today as well. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker.
Recognizing the delegate from Prince George's County.
Thank you. I would just like to take a moment to wish all your friends, and may I have the permission to mention the delegate's name?
Granted.
Happy Independence Day to all the Dominican Americans in the country, and particularly my chair, the highest ranking Latina, Afro-Latina in the state, who is also Dominican American, and myself. So to all the Dominican Americans that serve this country, Happy Independence Day.
Are there any other personal or guest announcements? Delegate from Baltimore City.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Getting some information as we speak, but there's some students from Baltimore City I've just been made aware of that are in the gallery who are from the Associated Student Congress of Baltimore City. They're having an advocacy day, if we can recognize them.
Any other personal or guest announcements? All right, seeing none, quorum call.
Mr. Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their presence? The clerk will take the call. There being 128 members present, the House is still in session, recognizing the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the House stands adjourned until Friday, February 28th at 11 a.m., legislative date February 25th.